All right, so we're gonna put this together and talk about proofs and how to construct them. There's a few different ways of doing this. You could do proofs that are two paragraph or two column proofs. You could do paragraph proofs. What we're going to focus on is just doing a paragraph proof, but you could do a column proof, and that would be fine. And probably look up some stuff on that, or if you want to know how to do that, you can ask me. So the idea of a proof is to actually go through your thought process and just write down your thought process on why you know something or how you can show that it's true and always true during certain situations. And so we're going to really focus on our parallel lines because that's what we've been using. We're going to use that to construct proofs and help you guys understand how to put those together. We're going to start with some real simple ones, and we'll get to ones that I don't think are overly complicated but still require you to think a little bit. Biggest thing understand is your proofs are really just trying to put your thought process down. And we are going to use if-then statements at times as we go about this. Okay? So I'm looking at this. We're going to start with a statement there that proves that K and M are parallel for this figure here. So this is what I'm given. So I know that you know what's given, but you always want to write what is given down. So the first thing we're going to write is I'm given that, well, the only part that I'm given is these two marks right here. I've got these two angles right here are congruent. And those two angles aren't really numbered, so we're not going to number them, but we can name them. These are alternating interior angles. So I'm given that alternating interior angles are congruent. Again, that's what these marks mean, that they're congruent here. And that's what I've been given. I always look and see what I've been given to start with. So I'm given that. So what I can conclude is this, and this is where when I conclude something, I'm going to use my if-then statement. So I'm going to say if alternating, and again, I know this is redundant, but you've got to state what you're given. And then you write your conclusion. If alternating interior angles are congruent, then, again, I can make a conclusion. Then K is parallel to line M. Okay, that's what I want to conclude. That's what this problem's telling me. And remember, if these two are congruent, then I can conclude that they are. Just because they look like they are, that's not enough. Like, you've got to have proof for that, and my proof is that these two lines, what I'm given here. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to put what I'm given, and then I'm going to make a conclusion like if this, then that for this. Okay? Let's look at another example. It's fairly simple here. So I'm given that H and G are parallel. I want to show that angle 2 and angle 6 are congruent to each other. Okay? So I'm going to, again, for my proof, and I'm just doing a paragraph proof. I'm just writing my ideas down. So I'm just going to say that given that H is parallel to G, that's what I'm given here. And so the next thing I can say, now let's just think about this before we write this down. If these are parallel, all my rules are on. My rules about alternating interior angles are on, exterior angles, corresponding angles, and those four rules, corresponding and then consecutive interior, which the rule is that these are congruent, alternating interior angles are congruent, alternating exterior angles are congruent, corresponding angles are congruent, and then consecutive interior supplementary. So I just need to identify 2 and 6 are what type of angles. Well, this is in the bottom left and this is in the bottom left, right? So these are corresponding angles, and that means because these lines are parallel, they have to be congruent. So I can just make my conclusion. I'm going to write my if-then statement. So if, what's the first part? H is parallel to G, then angle 6 is congruent to angle 2 is congruent to angle 6. And then I'm just going to add, this statement. I'm going to just write that because well, let me back up. I'm going to put this up here as well. So because this is actually pretty important here. So let's go back here. I apologize this. I'm going to say if H and G are parallel, okay, and then I'm going to add on to this, and I'm going to go right up here. So, and angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding angles. Then we'll go to the then part. Then I can conclude that. So because this part's given to me that they are corresponding angles as well. Okay. So again, given that H is parallel to G, if H and G are parallel and 2 and 6 are corresponding, which that was given to me because I've got this diagram, then 2 and 6 are congruent. That would be my ender there. Okay. Okay, let's look at another one here. So looking at this, what I'm given here, angle 2 and 4 are supplementary. That's given to me. So I'm just going to write given angle 2 and 6, or sorry, angle 2 and 4, sorry. They are supplementary. Also, what else am I given as well? If I look here, I know that 2 and 3, before we write anything else down, that part's I'm given. So how do I show that this should be T? So I didn't write these down. T and N should be here. How do I show that these two lines are parallel? Because they look like again, but I have to prove it. So I know that 2 and 4 are supplementary to each other. So this one I've got to do a couple other things here. So I'm given that 2 and 4 are supplementary. The other thing I look at here is this is where I need to bring in my vertical pairs, which have nothing to do with it. Their rules don't deal with anything with parallel lines, or I need to look at any linear pairs as well. So I'm going to look at vertical angles. So 2 is vertical to 3. And that's given to me, right? 2 and 3 are vertical. And those two angles have to be congruent to each other. They have to be equal to each other because they're vertical angles, and that's always true. So I'm also going to put that. So given that 2 and 4 are supplementary and angle 2 is equal to angle 3 because they are vertical. Angles. We should say we are given. We are given this. Okay, so I want to state that. Now what I want you guys to realize is this, is I can actually take this angle 3, okay, and substitute it for 2 because they're equal to each other, so it's going to be the same thing. So that means 3 and 4 have to be supplementary to each other because 2 and 3 are equal, so that's 30 degrees and that's 30 degrees, which means I can just substitute that, okay? So what I want to put here is I'm going to put a couple different if-then statements. So I'm going to put that if angle 2 and 4, let's actually just use some statements here, or some mathematical equations. So angle 2 plus angle 4 equal 180, and angle 2 is equal to angle 3, then angle 3 plus angle 4 equal 180 by substitution. Okay, so I'm just substituting that. And then because 3 and 4 are supplementary to each other and they're consecutive interior angles, then I conclude that those two are parallel. So I'm going to do one more if-then statement. So I'm going to say if angle 3 and angle 4 are supplementary, and consecutive interior angles, which they are, then I can conclude that T is parallel to N, which is what I want to finish with. Okay? So you write what you're given in this statement, and then you write your if-then statements here. Okay? Again, that was a little bit harder. If hopefully you guys get that, the 2 and because we are given the 2 and 4 are supplementary to each other, and then I know that 2 and 3 are vertical, which they have to be congruent. I can just substitute 3 for 2, and then because those are consecutive interior angles and they're supplementary, that means that those two lines have to be parallel because my lines are there. Guys, this is something you got to practice with. You're probably not just going to pick up on it overnight, and so practice, practice, practice. Ask questions. If you have other questions, then please, let's get those answered. Okay. There's a couple examples. This has been your moment with Mom. Adios.